nature, things of that 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 nature.
Well, what's up, everybody? Welcome into the Pot of That Nature post-game show. I want to start this by thanking everyone that is tapping in and watching this. I'm Curtis Wilkerson. He's Andrew Ellis with Inside Arkansas. The Razorbacks lose at home to Ole Miss 63-31. Thank God that is over. That was not fun. So you won't catch me telling anybody in this show tonight not to be pissed off about what you just saw. That was rough, man. The Louis Vuitton versus blue light special thing was just I think a really poor way of telling people that you were about to get your ass kicked. But hey, no worries. I mean, the 3% fee that was tacked on to all the Bud Light you had to buy to get through that shit show will probably solve the problem, right? Moving forward. I don't know. I usually try really hard not to be overly critical in these post-game shows, but this was a Chad Morris let go of the rope type of deal. You sit here for 4 hours and watch Ole Miss dudes just dunking on your sidelines, taunting your crowd, turning up with the fog machine out there, hotty toddy 100 times. It just, it pisses me off that it didn't piss off those guys more than it did, or more than it appeared to.
Yeah, I mean, it is embarrassing, man. It really is, and it's humiliating. And I feel like Arkansas's sideline wasn't as humiliated as the fan base was. Clearly, at least just by the way they were carrying themselves, didn't seem to bother them as much as it bothered everyone else. And Hog fans, don't let anybody try and tell you shouldn't be upset about this. Don't let anybody try and tell you should be accepting this and you should just be like, well, they have dudes, they're better up front, and they've got Louis Vuitton and all that. And Curtis, you brought up the Sam Pittman comments, which, by the way, they said on the broadcast and people were mad about. The reason they said it on the broadcast is because freaking Sam Pittman said it.
He put the words
and I
in
feel like it's a microcosm a little bit of the game, in one that, Ole Miss does have a Louis Vuitton team that they paid for and that they went out and got in the offseason. That is true. And Arkansas does have the Walmart version of that, a less talented team. And so that's true. But the fact that you have the head coach of the Arkansas Razorbacks outright admitting that, hey, just like, we just don't have as good of a team as them. Like, we didn't pony up and pay enough NIL to really field a really good roster. Like, saying these things pre-game when you're talking to the broadcast y'all don't need me to tell you that's a really horrible look. And really what it indicates to me is that, one, it's like you're getting ahead of it. You're kind of making the excuse there. But I mentioned Arkansas sideline not being too disappointed about the performance. Like, they were celebrating anytime they made a play. They were happy go lucky throwing those belts around and everything. It just seems to me like Arkansas's in this position, which is a familiar one. I, as an observer, and as I'd consider myself a fan, my entire life, I've gotten kind of used to watching this happen. I was a little bit too comfortable watching that happen in my living room. I'm sure a lot of fans were a little too comfortable watching that happen. And I feel like Arkansas football, just as a program in general, is a little too comfortable in these settings. And it almost seems like you can feel it coming. And it seems like there is like almost a predetermined acceptance of that. I cannot get over your head coach going out there and just being like, oh, they paid, they got the Louis Vuitton roster and we don't have that. If I'm Fernando Carmona, I'm like, dude, screw you. If I'm Keyshawn Blackstock, who's not even playing, who openly said, I went to Arkansas because they gave me the most NIL money, I'm a little pissed off by that comment. Like, that's a quick way to piss off your entire locker room, which, again, like I said, should be more pissed off than they are right now.
Oh, hang on. Oh, yep. Jordan Watkins just got another touchdown. Crazy,
another?
That's unbelievable. That's nuts. This is insane, man. 694 yards of offense for Ole Miss in this game. The reason why is because Arkansas quit, before halftime, quite honestly, but then especially in the second half, there were a lot of business decisions that were made back there. Just a letting go of the rope that we really, like, they've gotten their ass kicked a few times during the Pittman era, but I can't remember too many times where they just very clearly kind of packed it in the way they did, especially defensively, as they did in this game. Ole Miss, their quarterbacks combined between Dart and the Simmons kid threw for 562 yards. That is the most Arkansas has ever allowed through the air in a game as a program. And Dart also set the Ole Miss single game passing record. I think he passed Manning there. So just breaking records on Arkansas's home field. 63 points is absurd, man. And at the end of the day, it's just, listen, always hold on to that Tennessee moment, people, because we've seen the real home Hogs rear their ugly heads these last 2 games in Fayetteville. They've been outscored by, what is it now? Like 70 points in the LSU and Ole Miss games here. The buck stops with Sam Pittman, man, for not having his team ready to play at home in a huge spot. You just can't do that. And so, and people can talk about firing him, whatever. It's just like, this is just it's a pattern that continues to be a thing. And responsibility falls on the players as well, because there were stretches, like I said, where I thought the line, the DBs, they were overmatched, but they kind of let go of the rope there. People pissing and moaning about Lane Kiffin and running it up. Listen, Ole Miss needs style points. That's where they're at right now. It's a situation where they've got 2 losses. Their backs are against the wall. They have to win out to get into the college football playoff, and they're going to be competing with a team like Tennessee. So if I'm Lane Kiffin, I'm going, Arkansas beat them in Fayetteville. Why don't we beat the hell out of them in Fayetteville and have that in our back pocket? If you don't like it, do something about it and stop it.
Yeah. It's crazy. And it's just, you're right. It is just the levels of disrespect. They kept Jackson Dart in well into the 4th quarter so he could tie that record, so he could put up as many stats as he could. And you're right, man. If you have a problem with it, stop it. I'm not going to complain too much about Ole Miss doing what they did. Ultimately, like, that's just the game you play here. But man, it's just crazy. Look, and I'm glad you brought up the way you worded it the way you did, because Ole Miss was a better team. They're a better team than Arkansas. They're more talented. Arkansas was outmatched in this game, which is obvious if you look at the scoreboard. But I can't buy that as just the one reason and just being like, oh, well, it's just you just lost to a better team. Kind of the same narrative we heard from the fan base after the LSU game. That Tennessee game that you referenced, Curtis, is why you cannot accept crap like this.
Exactly.
Because this team is capable of more. This team can get up for a big game and can play well at home and can really alleviate that talent gap when they're playing. It's Texas A&M, who Arkansas didn't beat. They lost by 4. You're telling me Ole Miss is that much more? They're 34 points more talented than Texas A&M? Hell no, they're not. They're they might be more talented, but Arkansas has played teams that are on this caliber. Hell, Arkansas won't get beat that bad by Texas next week or in 2 weeks. And Texas is an objectively better team than all these teams that Arkansas has played so far. So I just can't buy like, well, you just ran into a better team. You're down, you lost by 32, like, oh, the NIL and all that. And again, Curtis, the reason why it really stings is because what did we used to say? Our former boss, what did he used to say? Arkansas should be ahead of the 2 Mississippi schools and Missouri.
Yep, 3.
And no matter where you're at Arkansas, you should be able to beat those 2 Mississippi schools. Now, obviously, under Lane Kiffin, Ole Miss has risen kind of above that claim there. But it's not like this is freaking Alabama or Florida or a Texas school where you're in a state with a ton of talent. Mississippi is bottom 5 in football talent, just like Arkansas is bottom 5 in football talent. Ole Miss is not this like program with a super rich tradition. There's no reason Ole Miss should ever be in this much more stable of a position than Arkansas and should be that wide of a gap in any one single game. And just if you look at the trajectory of the 2 programs, like this is a program that you've looked down on for as long as I've been alive. We've looked down on Ole Miss football. Like we felt like that's one of the few teams in the SEC. It's like, oh yeah, we're actually better than those guys. What were they 2-13 in their last 15 games in Fayetteville before this ass whipping? I know there's a lot of people who are going to do the whole, well, you just ran into a good football team. It is what it is. NIL, blah, blah, blah. There's no reason that Arkansas should be so content to be that much worse than Ole Miss, who's like 4 hours away from you and is is very similar standing in a lot of ways. You could actually argue Arkansas as a state is more is more set up to succeed than Ole Miss, who competes with another SEC team in their state and doesn't have a Walmart, doesn't have a Tyson, doesn't have a JB Hunt. Like I can't accept all the excuses that I'm already seeing starting to roll in.
No, yeah, I know. And the stuff about, Taylor Green got hurt and, well, don't forget you didn't have Jaquindon Jackson. Like, whatever. The leading receiver in the damn country was out for Ole Miss and they still found another guy to get in the end zone 5 damn times. Like it's just the excuses for this, there are none. There just aren't. It's ridiculous. And honestly, this is why I was urging folks from the moment the game in Starkville ended, not to be a prisoner of the damn moment with that one and think that Arkansas had turned a corner offensively. And that's why I pointed out in a blowout win that there were big issues in this secondary, because I just had a feeling all week. I didn't think it would be like this. but I felt like we were going to be in a letdown spot here. And we even said as we were driving back from Fort Worth at the ass crack of dawn this morning that this just felt like the game where Ole Miss they figure it out. They get right offensively and kind of make an example here. And it's exactly what they did. Just a frustrating deal. And look, like we could go through the whole, the stat sheet and, Taylor Green's injury earlier in the game and break it all down. But nobody wants to hear that crap right now after a game like that. People want to understand or get some form of justification for what the hell they just watched in their home stadium. And the truth is there is none. There's just no reason that should ever be a thing. It's not acceptable. And what I want, and I tweeted this out, and I said, I want to see pissed off Pittman in the press conference. And a lot of people said, I don't want to see him at all. And you're not going to get that.
Fair enough.
Probably not. I have no idea. If anybody listens to that press conference, let me know while we're on here. But after something like that, you either need to be flipping tables or you need to be like begging for forgiveness for what just happened there. I mean, it's unbelievable.
I'll tell you who was pissed off today, Curtis. Jackson Dart. You see him after that first possession when Ole Miss didn't get in the end zone? Yes. You see how much desperation they're playing with over there? You see Lane Kiffin so pissed that he throws the football at the ref, which, by the way, if I were a lesser man and I was a coward and a weirdo, I'd be trying to be like, hey, they should probably be a 15-yard penalty throwing the football at the ref, which he clearly was not doing throw it to him. But look, there was a sense of urgency on that Ole Miss sideline. They know that their playoff lives are on the line, and they played like it. And look, I'm willing to give Ole Miss a lot of credit. This was by far the best performance of their game or their season so far. Things really came together for a really talented team on both sides of the ball. That D-line is a freaking problem. Jackson Dart's one of the better quarterbacks in the country. Their offense, Lane Kiffin's obviously an elite play caller. Here's my problem with it, Curtis. They hadn't been doing that shit to literally anybody. They beat South Carolina 27-3, which again, smaller margin of victory than this. But that's the closest they've come to really putting it on someone. 27 is the most they've scored in SEC play. They scored 63, Curtis. And we know Lane Kiffin's good. We know Jackson Dart's good. But it just goes, there's only so much I can bear when it comes to the excuse making. Yeah. It's unbelievable, man. And look, we can sit here and I see some people saying, oh yeah, Pittman sucks. Travis Williams sucks. Marcus Woodson sucks. I've even seen some Taylor Green sucks, which I don't know how you jump to the Taylor Green sucks conclusion today, but I think there's plenty of blame to go around. But you're right, Curtis. The buck does stop with Sam Pittman because he's the one on top of all this. And we've given Sam Pittman a lot of credit overall. I feel like this season in general, you could argue Arkansas has overachieved, but I think today is just another harsh reminder that there is a ceiling on this situation. And look, that ceiling, we've seen it 8-4, 9-4, that's a good season. That's something you can be proud of. This football team under Sam Pittman is capable of making you proud. And that's why you should not accept when they lay an egg to the drastic fashion they did today. Because we know they can be better is why you should not accept what they did today. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, it's unreal, man. And honestly, Arkansas could have lost this game. I picked them to lose by 10. They could have lost by 2 scores, 38-24 or something. And I would have been irritated by it. But this conversation would have been a lot different when you see a level of quit on the field like that. That's absurd. It reminds me of some of the shit we saw down the stretch last year. It reminds me of some of the things we saw towards the end of Chad Morris's tenure. And we've been told all year, this ain't that team. This is different. And we see flashes of it being different, but then they always revert back to something like this. But this is the first time we've seen them kind of let go of the rope in a game. And that's just, that's ridiculous, man. You can't let that slide. It's not okay. And I know folks are pissed off about it. And guys, we're going to get to your chats. Don't you worry. We're getting there.
100%. I've seen a few people that are mad that we're not angry at Travis Williams. If you think we're not angry at again, everyone, you can blame as many people as you want today. They all are going to be worthy of some blame. One of the things that the commentators praised this Arkansas defense for during the game, and they said other SEC coaches have commented on this, how hard Travis Williams' defense plays for him, even in those games where they are outmatched against A&M, outmatched against Tennessee. They typically, like you said, don't let go of the rope the way they did. Travis Williams' defense quit on him today. They quit on him. They quit on Pittman. They quit on a lot. They quit on themselves. And look, again, Arkansas being outmatched is still a thing. Arkansas secondary has had moments where they've been hanging by a thread. And now if we're going to do a serious football analysis here, Arkansas, the best quarterbacks Arkansas has played this year, have absolutely torn them apart. Garrett Nussmeier and Jackson Dart are the 2 experienced veterans that they faced, and they feasted on this Arkansas defense. I don't think it's a coincidence that Nico wasn't quite equipped to do that as a redshirt freshman. I don't think it's a coincidence that the Van Buren kid at Mississippi State, who's pretty good, wasn't equipped to do that. Arkansas has an issue against veteran quarterback. Any quarterback that's truly competent and knows what they're doing and has a good play caller on their side, they're going to be able to get whatever they want against this Arkansas defense. And there's no shortage of blame to go around. Anybody that thinks that we're not trying to blame Travis Williams, everybody, look, this is a complete no-show by the entire freaking team. You can go top to bottom and pick out whoever you want. You can be angry at all of them, and you should be angry at all of them. Y'all should be so pissed off about that performance. It's not even funny.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. We've been telling you guys since the damn end of the bye week that the whole situation with the defense was trending in the wrong direction. But
yeah, this is a good comment from Kingsley. Everyone from top down deserves blame today. Even Tusk's lazy ass went to sleep mid-game. Tusk has to be better. We all have to be better. No one's devoid of the blame today.
Yeah, come on, Tusk. That was funny though. He was just laying on that side, man, passed out, and I was like, I feel that. I do. I feel it. Let's get into the chats. We got several of them that are kind of starred here. We'll work our way through these. I know there's a ton rolling in. Sam Bell says one of the most embarrassing losses of the Pittman era. Yep.
Yeah,
I agree.
Of which there are a few. They're starting to pile up a little bit. I would say this is a top 3 or 4 for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And his boy Lane Kiffin ran it up on him. So there you go. Nigel Portwood says, so we still going to keep running with there's nothing better on the bench, Singleton over Green all day. Yeah, but listen, when Ole Miss was doing to Singleton what they were doing to Taylon Green, which was rushing the passer, he didn't have nothing for him either. Now, Singleton can only play the game that's in front of him, and so they took the foot off the gas in terms of the blitzes and bringing the heat. And he was good. He was very solid in the time that he had in there. But if we're really going to look at garbage time and a 40-point ass whooping and say, oh yeah, that really decides things between our quarterbacks here, particularly when your number one got injured early in the game, tried to gut it out, was constantly getting hit, and he still went 10 of 14 through the air for 158 yards. And you know, he had fumbles or whatever, but it's not like he was awful. Doesn't matter. You know, it's just the issues are bigger and beyond that. I don't think starting Malachi Singleton over Taylon Green against Texas is going to fix, you know, some of the bigger picture issues that they got going on right now. Yeah,
I thought Malachi Singleton did a really good job today. I was glad that he got that experience, which again, like it's you got to take it for what it's worth, which is again a 35, 40-point game. So it's a little bit easier to operate in those circumstances, but that was good. I was also glad, I didn't like it going too deep into the fourth quarter that he was running with the first team offense, gets him some legitimate reps. It feels a little bit real there. The only problem with that is, like, again, to your point, Curtis, it's not like Taylon Green was bad today. It's not like he's been bad for a while. Like Taylon Green, I feel like today should show you guys more than anything that the quarterback ain't the damn issue at Arkansas. It clearly is a lot deeper than that. And I think this offensive line is, clearly, their head coach said it. Their head coach, who's the O-line guy, said it's a freaking Walmart offensive line.
What a thing!
It is what it is. Singleton was great today. I think that's there's no doubt. I thought it was really encouraging to see him get out there and get some real reps in an SEC game. But to frame that somehow as like that means that Taylon sucks, like, I don't know. I don't really. I think you guys are focused on the wrong shit. If you're asking, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, I guess so, man. And I guess investing in the Louis V over the Faded Glory or whatever the hell the Walmart brand is, it paid off in this one. Ole Miss, man, 13 TFLs, 8 sacks. That was crazy. Anyway, moving on. Brendan Simmons says, why are we handing out WWE belts on the sideline down 25 points, club dub vibes? Yeah, I didn't like that. I didn't like that either. And honestly, they should have done like a ceremonious, like a captain's meet at midfield for the coin toss. Arkansas should have walked that belt to midfield and handed it to Ole Miss, because that was the only damn prop in the entire stadium that Ole Miss didn't already have on their sideline. They're dunking on the freaking hoop in there. They got the fog machine. Like, it was just, and you can't say anything to them in their time.
No, you can't.
It's just that was a thorough beatdown. That was humbling, man.
Look, there was a lot of celebrating going on both sidelines today, weirdly enough, even though one team had more to celebrate about. Ole Miss's felt authentic, felt real. It was just guys dancing. They're blowing the bubbles. They're all clearly just having a good time. Arkansas's felt very forced, and I don't know why you would be forcing it down 25. have a sense for the moment. There's got to be an adult on the sideline that looks at that and is like, no. That is not the time to do that. Cut that shit right now. Like, that is not what you need to be doing. It happened twice because Rodney Hill was also flexing around and posing and stuff after his touchdown, which cut it to like a 50-point game. Like, have a freaking sense for the moment and understand you're getting embarrassed at home and there's 7,000 people left in the stands. Maybe don't bring out the props at this point in time. And I'm not an anti-fun guy. I think it's awesome when teams do that. Hell, I even think it's cool when Ole Miss dunks. Believe it or not, I actually think that's cool. And I think it's cool when you're winning. It's not cool when you're down 30. Exactly.
No, I agree with that completely. Woo Pig 1994 says home losses of that nature. Again, it's crazy that we have to do this, but can we say that it was a one-off with Tennessee? Because the whole thing about not being ready to play at home was a narrative coming into the year. Your first home game, you're horrible against UAB, who's one of the worst Division I football programs in the country. Then you get the Tennessee win. And it's like, oh, cool. Yeah, that's right. It's not this team. And then what do you have? 34-10 against LSU in a huge spot with a huge crowd. And then 63-31 against Ole Miss when you have a chance to clinch bowl eligibility and really get yourself, potentially into the top 25 of the rankings. I understand you're not playing for the college football playoff necessarily the way Ole Miss was, but you had a hell of a lot to play for, plus pride in front of your home crowd. And it was just a nothing burger. And so it's just another home game that Arkansas is not ready to play in. And so we can get all excited about the Texas rivalry or whatever, but it's like, it's not up to us. Man, it's not up to you guys as fans. You'll show up. You'll be ready to go. Will the team? Who the hell knows?
Another 72,000 in the stands today, man. Yeah, it is crazy. And we always say this. Arkansas doesn't handle success or adversity well. When they get punched in the mouth, they usually cower away. When they have a nice performance, which they had against Mississippi State, we complimented Arkansas for that performance. They had a nice performance against Tennessee as well. They just don't follow it up. They don't string together success. And it's really hard to be both, Curtis. You can't be you're not a good front runner and you're not good at playing from behind. It's just a really bad spot to be in as a program, but that's where Arkansas is.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's the case. That's the situation we find ourselves in here. Some people were talking about us not, bringing up the defense. I know we've addressed it now, but I went through and started some of these comments specifically because I wanted to talk about it. But yeah, I mean, it's Michael Kopesky says Kiffin was 10 times better than the DC for Arkansas. He 100% unequivocally was that. Whether he had better dudes back there or not, they got schemed up in this one. It wasn't good. Nigel Portwood says it's crazy. Y'all thought the secondary was good. Who is y'all?
What are you talking about?
You and the mouse in your pocket. But coming into the season, in the preseason, I was the one honking the damn horn about, listen, I know they got a bunch of bodies in there, but how many dudes do they actually have? Like, how good is this actually going to be? And people were pissing on my balls about it after the LSU game. And I was like, you know what? I'm not so sure about this. And then the Mississippi State game is like, oh, they won by 50 points. Relax a little bit. And now here we are. So
go watch the post-game accountability or the report card, I believe it was from UAB. We were like, at that point, like red alert. We were like, we are panicked about this secondary. They followed that up with the Auburn game. And we were like, hey, wow, good for the secondary. How about that? It's kind of crazy that we were so worried about them. We gave them their props when they played well. We've been extremely openly concerned about it. In fact, I said in the offseason, and maybe I'll have to go find it. I said, if Arkansas is a competent defense this year, Travis Williams should get like the biggest raise of all time. Because in the offseason, we looked at it on paper and we were like, this defense just doesn't have SEC level talent. I think that we're kind of finding that out now. Honestly, Arkansas is a victim of overachieving a little bit early in the season, kind of set the standard high. And again, man, it's frustrating because Ole Miss has not been doing this to everybody. So as much as I'd love to tip my cap to Lane Kiffin and Jackson Dart and those boys, it just sucks that you're the team that they figured it out against. Yeah. You're the team that they scored twice as many points as they've scored on anybody all year. That's a tough one, man.
It absolutely is. And it's just something that it's a tough pill to swallow, but we have to accept it because even when people were trying to pump the brakes a little bit after that offensive explosion at Mississippi State, the counter from people was, well, hey, Arkansas did more than Georgia did against them. Arkansas did more than Texas A&M did against them. And so we got to keep that same energy now, which is Ole Miss did a hell of a lot more against Arkansas, than quite frankly they did against anybody else in the SEC. So that's where we're at.
I mean, geez.
Logan Mirror, he says 30-point home loss in year 5 is unacceptable. It's just embarrassing. Yeah, man, that's I agree. I mean, I don't really have anything to add to that other than I want to put your comment up there because it's true, man. Not cool. And it's very, very frustrating that anytime this team starts to get some momentum and you get to the point where maybe you start to believe like, hey, you know what? This is a bit different this year than it was in the past. And these guys are better. And it's okay to feel that way sometimes because they play that way. But then you have something like this and you go, oh, and it's like Andrew, it's like you said that there's kind of, it feels like there's a ceiling to this in terms of the trajectory that it's headed. And that's a big picture issue. That's a lot of reasons. You can talk about the Sam Pittman factor. You can talk about the NIL. You can talk about the lack of, in-state talent for recruiting. Like there's so many different areas you could go to with that. But it does feel true. Like something's got to change. You got to do something different if you really want to get over that hump with some consistency. You're
just kind of out of excuses in year 5 because like where else are you going to point to? Like, hey, my offensive line sucks. It's a bunch of Walmart workers. Well, whose fault? Like, who are we supposed to like? It's not our fault that you just whiffed on every O-line recruit for the last 4 years. I mean, besides Patrick Kudus, who just now decided to return to action, like whose fault is that? Whose fault is it that your talent level, when the transfer portal makes it as easy as ever to acquire talent, and we've seen Arkansas acquire pretty talented teams here in the last few years, whose fault is it that in year 5, your talent is not on par with the rest of the SEC? That you're in, why is a school like Ole Miss crushing it in the NIL department and you're not able to? Why is every other program on your campus able to figure it out in the NIL department and compete at a national level? I don't know, man. I just feel like there's only so many fingers we can point before they all kind of start going the same direction.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Christie's. By the way, Chris has been
Chris has been crushing it, dude.
Emerging as a really
even
really
though someone hit him with that Christie's nuts last night.
That's true. Yeah, that did happen. By the way, and yeah, goodness, man. Like it feels like within the last 12 hours, we've done 2 would have felt like semi-brutal post games, and the basketball one wasn't that bad, but like I don't know, like we didn't expect them to lose or whatever. So
well, I was gonna say, if people think we're unfair and we just hate the Hogs or whatever, watch our post game from last night because we were pretty fair to the basketball team. We were like, no worries, they'll be fine.
Folks off the ledge
because we trust that they've got some adults on that roster that are going to figure it out. And I don't know if I feel that way about this football squad 10 weeks into the season.
Yeah, for sure. We'll keep rolling through them here. DeBlank, I think he's kind of echoing what you were saying, Andrew. Like, there's no excuse for Arkansas to have less money than Ole Miss. The only reason that's the case is because nobody wants to give Porky Pittman money. I didn't see the back end of that comment.
Me either. I'm sorry.
The first sentence, yes.
No, yeah. Well, and that's okay. And that's ultimately, and look, Porky Pittman, you shouldn't say that. That's mean. We don't like that. And we like Sam Pittman as a human being. Like, let's relax. We're not defaming the man's character. But look, there's definitely something to NIL money doesn't just come from the tooth fairy. When you have exciting things going on in your program, that's when people give money. That's when these big donors step up and make stuff happen. And it's happening at Ole Miss. And you know why? This next comment you got right here, Craig Jones. Kiffin 41-17, Sam 28-29 were hired the exact same offseason. In fact, Arkansas cheaped out and decided not to stay in the Lane Kiffin sweepstakes. How much money did that cost them down the line? Not just adding a couple extra mil to your head coach's salary. Instead, you're just have been a mediocre football program for 5 years now.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. From David here, he says national media members are still enamored with the job Pittman has done. Yeah, I don't know if anybody's marveling at the performance today. And again, it's not trying to take shots at anybody else who does what we do or has a platform to talk about the program or whatever. But like, was that a prisoner of the moment thing there? Like, are we gaslighting people here? I mean, what the hell is going on?
Yeah,
that was not good. And whether that, I have no idea if Sam Pittman's going to retire, if he's going to get fired after this season. And we've been open and honest about how we feel like, I definitely feel like up until today, at least, that Arkansas had probably overachieved in terms of what my expectations were. But this kind of thing right here is why people are fed up with it. This kind of thing right here is why people can look at it and see a football team that struggled last year, was, coming in this game was 5-3, above 500 in SEC play, in line for maybe a 7-8 win season, but they were still pissed off about where the program was headed and still fed up with it and still looking for change. This right here is the prime example of why a growing percentage of people continue to feel that way. And you have every right to feel however you want to, but if you feel that way right now, you absolutely have the right to do that. So, Spectre Streams, thank you again so much, man. We really appreciate that. That's a banger. Seriously, thank you for that.
Yeah.
'Cause when people are angry, a lot of times they don't want to hand out money. So I wish I could tell you that 3% of your donation would go to the collective. It won't. But we appreciate you nonetheless. And he just says, he says, man, this is just embarrassing. And not to mention those comments by Pittman like that alone should get his bleep booted, but the game was just blanking ridiculous. Yeah.
Listen, we'll let some expletives fly whenever you're paying like that, man. Hey, we appreciate you for real. He comes through on all these post-game streams, it seems like.
Yeah, no, definitely appreciate that. This is actually a good comparison, I think, from Hunter Ratio. It says the equivalent of the Auburn basketball game last season, which, yeah, it was like Arkansas had kind of taken a couple lumps in non-conference play. You thought they were kind of figuring some things out. Maybe you had some fool's gold because they beat up on UNC Wilmington and Keon Minifield went for 30 points or whatever it was. And then you got a big spot, a big home game, and Auburn 30 pieces you. And for me, that was the game where I was like, oh, this might not turn around. This might not be the year where Muss's team figures it out or whatever. And I kind of have that same, almost like a reality check after what we saw today.
Yeah, because I mean, look, the Muss team last year, Muss's teams have had plenty of disappointing performances and then turned it around and had good seasons. But last year's blowouts that were happening over the course of Christmas break and on into conference play were setting a new standard. And it's just rare that you see teams and programs bounce back from that. Like maybe they can come back and play pretty well and have some wins, but it's rare that you start getting your ass kicked to this extreme. Like the night, for example, the night I knew Brett Bielema was done was when they went to Auburn and lost 56-3 to like a 7-5 Auburn team. And I was just like, oh, once you start doing stuff like that and you start kind of getting comfortable, which Arkansas, again, I'm going to say it again, looked extremely comfortable in this setting. They didn't look surprised by the result. They didn't look upset. They weren't even disappointed. I saw a bunch of fans that were disappointed. I did not think the sideline at Arkansas was like necessarily stunned by what happened here today.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And again, like the thing that irritates me the most about it was, almost the acceptance of that. And then just a lack of effort for stretches there in the second half that we haven't seen from this group. That was really disappointing, man, because I really do like these guys. I like these players. And this team has been really fun to watch at times. I didn't think we would see that from this group. And we did today. And that's frustrating. So that's something you really got to figure out. And it's like you beat Tennessee and you get the bye week and it's like, okay, cool. They got some momentum. They can get healthy. Good time for a bye. Now you have another bye week. And I don't know if it's a good time for it or not. But like, you got a lot to figure out, man. This is not one you want to fester on for 2 weeks.
Yeah. Dude, at the end of the day, you get 12 games. You get 5 at home. Like, we should not have to freaking beg you and plead you to show up and perform to even a competitive level. Like, it's crazy that it's just so easy for them to just have this happen. It's so easy for them to just completely check out and not show up to performances. And it's happened twice now in in the last 2 home games, I guess, just LSU and Ole Miss. Yeah. Back-to-back times, they just completely failed to show up in front of their fans. It's crazy.
I'm going to pull this one up and then we'll get it down pretty quick for obvious reasons. Spectre, appreciate you again. Yeah, this whole argument of it being disrespectful, blank that. We need more coaches who would rather put up 100 points and force you to stop them rather than care about others' feelings.
You're in the SEC. Yep. This is what you sign up for. This is the best of the best. The best play the best players. Adapt or die. That's what happens here. Like, I know it sucks and it's unfair, but it's like, when you're trying to compete at the highest levels, this is what you're up against. And if you don't like it, go to church.
Yeah, if you're scared, go to church. Exactly. Warfare Jordan says, hopefully we don't drop the Louisiana Tech game. Listen, I don't think they will. But I mean, Louisiana Tech might be on par with, or maybe even slightly better than UAB. Here's the thing about Arkansas, though. It's not even about potentially losing that game. It's, are you going to do the thing where you come out and you look flat and you look uninspired and you look like, like some of the teams that we see, like the Liberty game, for example, was a good one of those. The UAB game was a good one of those. Rice, Kent State, some of those games you wound up winning anyway, but you could just tell by watching, like, something ain't right here. What Arkansas needs to do in the Louisiana Tech game, independent of what happens against Texas, is come out there and beat the hell out of those dudes the way Ole Miss just did you. Is what you need to do, and leave no doubt out there on the field. But I could absolutely see this playing out just like that Kent State game, or just like the FIU game last year, where it was like, oh yeah, they wound up winning by 24 points or something. But it's just, I don't know, it's not looking right.
Louisiana Tech lost 9-3 the other day, so we could be in for a doozy, folks. Buckle up.
Yeah, no kidding. Jeff Bergen says this is how Mississippi State looked last Saturday. Yeah, I mean, especially defensively. I mean, it was pretty much the same in terms of not being able to get anything accomplished and a lack of effort and finishing plays out there for large stretches. So
the only difference is Mississippi State was playing against a roster full of Walmart boys that aren't worth money apparently. So
yeah, exactly.
Apparently, right. I mean, apparently it wasn't a good roster that they played.
Yeah. Linnell Burns says, forget about NIL. Anybody else feeling like after 5 years of Sam that we should have went ahead and gave that extra $200K to Lane Kiffin when he really wanted to coach here flat?
I think it was a little bit more than $200K.
Yeah.
I think it was a little bit more than $200K.
Zero.
Yeah, but I've always said that though, where I'm like, yeah, you can cheap up and be like, hey, we'd rather pay a head coach $3 million rather than $5 or $6 million. In the long run, man, and look, Arkansas's had great attendance this year, so it's not really financially costing them now. But I mean, Ole Miss's program and just kind of where they're at and the kind of money they're spending and the money they're making. I mean, it speaks for itself, man. It's at some point you kind of have to decide what you want to be as a program, and Arkansas's got a decision to make with football in terms of what they want to do about the program big picture. And look, they made it, making bowl games is not nothing. And so look, maybe they'll go 6-6 and we'll just be like, this is fine. But I think most of the fans here would agree that they don't enjoy this. They're sick of this.
Right.
And I'm sick of it, dude. I'm sick of it. I'm tired of covering these games.
Yeah, that's frustrating, man. This is hilarious because, depending on the context, this could be directed at anyone. But David, appreciate the super chat, by the way. He says the blue light special was Kmart, you incompetent jackass. And I've been saying Walmart, but I realized earlier that I was like, actually, that was Kmart. And then I just saw this chat, and I was like, he could be calling me a jackass. It could be Pittman. It could be the announcers. I don't know who it is, but you're right. That is true. Maybe Walmart has one too, but Kmart definitely had a blue light special. So there you go. Hog Barbecue, appreciate you again. We really appreciate you guys for the what's John call them? Sponsored comments,
sponsored chats. Yeah,
whatever. Thank you for supporting the cause. We really do appreciate it, and we appreciate you guys. Even if you don't, you being here and throwing us likes and everything, and just engaging and being a part of it, that helps us a ton, man. So we really appreciate all of you,
even the dumb ones of you. Even the dumb ones, we still appreciate you.
Yeah. Offense didn't lose us this game. Defense didn't show up. I would argue nobody showed up. I got people blaming Taylor Green or whatever. Like, we got a quarterback controversy. Yeah, I agree. That's not the issue. But you think the offensive line showed up today?
Yeah.
And they were overmatched. But, we've talked about the difference in finances that go into that. So there you go. Let's see. This was funny from Aiden Watson. He says this type of game is where you take the chairs out of the locker room because no one should be able to sit after this one. This is the type of game where you do the Chad Morris thing. Hey,
take their sweaters.
Yeah, turn in your stuff. You're getting the straight grays. It's squirrel season around here. That's all you get. Man, oh man. Yeah. I did pull up this from Holly Hannah. She says pull up the press conference and discuss. I mean, I don't know that we could. I don't know if we would have been able to stream it as we were doing this and then comment on it. We would need to be able to clip it up. We will. I mean, whether that's part of something we put out after this, or if it's something we do on Inside Arkansas Live Monday, trust me, that's coming. So appreciate that. We'll do it because I'm interested to go back and listen. And maybe people are already talking about it in the chat. I'm maybe freaked out. I don't know, but I doubt it. Rich Nolan says Landon Jackson played a good game.
He did play a good game, and I'll tell you, here's what I loved about what Landon Jackson is. Which shout out to Wes Moore, by the way, who tweeted this out. He said, this is how you celebrate when you make a good play down 32. You saw what Landon Jackson did when he made that sack? Nothing. He just got back and lined up and got ready to play. Which, again, I'm not trying to be the guy who's like, hey, you can't have fun. When you're down 32, have a sense for the moment. Credit to Landon Jackson for being an adult and having a sense for the moment. Landon Jackson's a good football player, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy that he's able to exist on this roster that has no talent, apparently. It's crazy. It's crazy that he's going to play 12 years in the NFL, but Arkansas doesn't have any talent, and they can't compete with the guys in the SEC. We just need to accept that.
Right. What's going on here? Let's see. Witty, thank you, as always. Brogan crushed you today. He had one.
Hey, should have had a touchdown.
Should have had a touchdown. I agree.
He did catch that screen.
Oh, man.
Scott Fountain came over and consoled him after that touchdown. That had probably should have been a touchdown, a little too out of his reach. When he came off to the sideline, Scott Fountain gave him a little dap and helped him take the turf out of his mask, which I appreciated that. Scott Fountain, the man.
Yeah, for sure. Eli Lewis says every team knows all they have to do is send the pressure because we can't stop it. That is true. Got to figure out a way to get quicker passes or something. And they've done a pretty decent job of that, making that adjustment, I think, in recent games. But it's tough because it just got out of hand on them. Like you give up 8 sacks, 13 TFLs. That's crazy. You're 21 of 28 passing in this game for 365 yards. I know a lot of those were inconsequential when things were decided and when Singleton was in there against the second string or whatever. But yeah, I mean, they've got to figure out some things there. I was hoping that the Kuda's coming back, moving, Marion Harris to the outside would kind of fix some things. It's kind of it's a line wide problem right now.
Yeah.
It is.
That right tackle issue, man. It's still going to be, there's still a lot of traffic coming from that right tackle spot.
Yeah. Let's see here. Jackson Tillman says, appreciate the super chat. He says, I apologize for calling y'all stupid. I love both you Pookie Bears. Did he call us stupid?
Yeah, what'd you call us stupid for, Jackson? What are we?
Bro, I wouldn't have even known, but thank you. Apology accepted. Oh, I think it was because he might have been the one that was like, you guys are stupid for not calling out Travis Williams. I think that's what it was. But anyway.
Okay. Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, we've got thick skin around here. People call us a lot of things and we don't get too offended about it. So
I saw someone say that John should fire me, which is, just a funny sentence in itself. I said that John should fire me for saying that 6-6 is acceptable when I'm literally making fun of how some people are going to tell you guys that 6-6 is fine. I'm not going to say who, but I'm just going to say some people are.
Right. By the way, where is John? Exactly. Here we go. We're moving on. So anyway, from Gavin Strother, he says, it's frustrating driving 3 hours to have a good time with my friends when football ain't our favorite sport, but it's the easiest to go to since basketball is our favorite and it's just tough to get to. I feel bad for anyone who you got up and you make an investment. Like it's not cheap to go to those games. And now you got 3% added on to anything that you buy when you're there. And you want to get the bang for your buck. You want to be able to enjoy the experience again. Even if Arkansas had wound up losing this game, 35-24 or something, and you're disappointed when you leave, at least make it entertaining, at least play hard, at least show up for the home crowd. And then, to add on, people who are, it's not like it's the entire town of Fayetteville that shows up to these. People are driving around from all over the place. It's like the people who drove to Fort Worth for that exhibition last night were probably pissed off that Arkansas wound up losing it, but I guarantee you they were entertained while they were there. So you probably walk out of there and you go, you know what? I had fun while I was there and it sucked in the end. Yeah. But this, if I'm walking out of there, and for anyone if there's anyone in this post game who stayed from start to the bitter end, show yourself. Because we want to give you a shout out for doing that because you're the real ones, man. I do like that. My dad was always real adamant about that. Like we never left games, and frankly, when I was growing up, weirdly enough, Arkansas wasn't getting blown out as routinely as they do these days. But I remember we never left games ever. He was always like, we're going to stay here and we're going to go down and we're going to cheer the guys as they leave the field. Like he was just big on that. And I always think back to the Michael Jordan quote where he's like, I always played like there was someone in the stands who was their first time watching me play. And it was like my chance to make a first impression with them. I think about that just about every time Arkansas lays an egg at home where I'm like, there's people there that was their first game watching Arkansas. And I just think about all the moments when I was growing up, those first games that I went to that helped shape my fandom, that are really the reason why I'm here doing what I am. And it sucks that people, instead of having those types of experiences, are having some of this, man. It really does suck because it shouldn't be this way. Yeah, for sure. I want to get to 2 more real quick, and then we'll get into some more. Looks like we got some more super chats coming through. And again, you guys are awesome. So thank you for that. Michelle, wifey, she's working. She's down in Morrilton right now, by the way. But she says, yes, it stinks, but you know what doesn't stink? The post-game stream. Hit the like button, subscribe, so you get notifications for basketball season. That would have probably went over a lot better had last night not happened. But I think people still get it. And we're on to Lipscomb. Yeah, and by the way, Arkansas basketball is going to be fine. They just got to get in game shape, and you get Jonas Adu out there. Literally all your problems are solved for the most part. They're going to be fine. This football team, I don't know. Yeah, nobody's going to remember that exhibition game in 10 days, nor should they. Yeah, that's exactly right. But we will remember this one. Yeah, and our guy Kingsley he says, we didn't hit that line today, but y'all can hit that like button. Yes, you can. And Kingsley, by the way, just the GOAT. Just the Kingsley's the man, dude. And appreciate you so much for the hookup, by the way, which is really, really cool. And man, I wish we would have had time to hang out and everything. And I apologize for that because we were sprinting back after that game last night, and we needed to get the post game show going, and we were scrambling everything. But your friendship and your just support of what we got going on is not lost on us, man. We really, really appreciate you.
Absolutely, man. I'm about to chow down on those ribs literally like right after this too. We appreciate you, man. You're the man, and absolutely appreciate you always supporting us, and Michelle too. Yeah. Michelle and Kingsley.
The funniest moment of the trip was kind of wrapping everything up about midnight and walking down to the front desk of the hotel and just seeing a paper bag with ribs in it and being like, "Hey, that's for us."
They didn't even argue. They were like, sure. Like, you can take these ribs."
Oh man. Spectre Streams again appreciate it. Says apologize for cursing, gentlemen, but can't help beer.
You're all good, man. We've let a few fly. We've been a little potty mouth today.
The FCC ain't coming after us, So
yeah.
Let's see.
Mostly because we're not on TV. That'd probably be the main reason.
Exactly. Timothy Long, there he is. Long time no see, brother. Hope you're doing well. He says, "Where is John? Got to hear that rant. I'm mad. Let's go after Ryan Day. Let Pitt retire and move on. Good God, a crap game." John just got some stuff going on, and so I'm sure he'll be back to do the devotional on Sunday and back with Inside Arkansas Live on Monday afternoon. And Ryan Day, sure. Why not?
Ryan Day had a big win today, man. I don't know if Ryan Day is going to be on the market.
He escaped some allegations today, so now he's just got to be.
How about? Have you ever seen a top 5 matchup that was a hot seat bowl? But that's what Penn State, Ohio State was. We're like, Penn State fans are not going to be happy about that game, man.
That's the kind of problems I want to have. Sign me up for that. JT Hazelwood, our guy. Appreciate you. Again, as always, this is undisciplined. It seems to be in the program's DNA at this point. I'm not mad, just disappointed. Reverting back to means I dread the day my future children have to endure the pain of being a Razorback fan. It's a tough one, man. It's like, we all should have seen this coming after last weekend.
Yeah.
You have that Kansas game, and then you just beat the hell out of Mississippi State. Some things are too good to be true, and you pay for them. Like there's it's karma, right? And so that's what we're dealing with as Razorback fans this weekend, which is just brutal. And just speaking of the discipline thing, I looked up at one point in the second quarter, and Arkansas had 55 penalty yards and 52 total yards of offense. That's a problem. But yeah, just to add, like, I don't know, like insult to injury or whatever in a game where you just get the crap beat out of you, 10 penalties again for 95 yards. That's, that's not good. And then you lost the turnover battle 2-0. Just, whatever.
Yeah.
Moving on. Just a mess.
It is crazy how predictable all these issues really are.
Oh, I know, man. I know. Razorback recap. Our guy, Peyton, hope you're doing well, buddy. Says, I'm tired of this Mr. Nice Guy coaching staff. It's time to move on and find someone to win us ball games instead of getting us BTA.
I don't know. I was thinking like beat that ass, maybe.
Yeah, sure. We'll go with that. That's what we'll go with.
Maybe it should have been TAB, getting that ass beat.
Yeah, maybe so. But yeah, I mean, it's. I think there were some guys on this coaching staff.
Belt to ass.
That's right. Yeah, no, that's good. That makes sense.
Sorry, we're not up to date with the cool kid lingo these days.
You guys, how much reading we're doing while we're talking about this? Give us a break. You literally have to spell it out for us, or we'll get it wrong. So, no, man, I know people get frustrated about. You said the word a lot, Andrew, of like an acceptance when some of these things happen. And like, I know Sam Pittman cares. I know it pisses him off, and I know it hurts him when these things happen. But he doesn't wear his emotion on his sleeves sometimes as much as people would like him to. Like when you're mad, you want to see the head coach be mad too. And when something's unacceptable, you want to hear him say it and tee off about it a little bit and hold, himself and the team or the staff or whatever accountable on the record. Some people, it's just not their style or whatever. But this, like we said, it's kind of one of those situations where it's like, yeah, dude, you need to do it. So,
well, now look, and then we've had this conversation a lot about how we've been on that side of kind of wanting him to show some emotion. And I really, in a big picture nutshell, I don't have an issue with him not being super expressive, especially at press conferences, because he's had 30 minutes to stew on it and process, and he's probably trying to be calm and not go crazy out there and everything like that. But I do, again, if you don't tell us and tell your side of the story, then we're going to use our imaginations. And when we see what we saw in the field today, our imaginations can go pretty wild. So if you're not pissed off and you don't tell us, I'm pissed off, I cannot accept that performance, we're going to assume that you don't have that much of a problem with it. That's just kind of the way it works. Like if you don't come out and defend yourself, we're not going to defend you. You know what I mean? And look, we have defended Sam Pittman plenty of times. And in big picture, I really am not going to look back and be like, man, Sam Pittman ruined Arkansas football, blah, blah, blah.
No,
I think he's done some good things for this program, and I think he's brought it to a little bit of a more stable point despite today's insane result. But it's really tough to defend the guy when it doesn't seem like he wants to really defend himself sometimes. And he has been chippy with media members among certain topics. So I kind of wish he would be like, dude, if y'all want to fire me, that's crazy. This is why you shouldn't, X, Y, Z. But we,
I agree with that. And
Yeah.
it's like when they beat Tennessee and everything, like that's when he kind of takes his shots. He's like, hey, that's a 1-score win. Like, are y'all writing about that? Okay. Like, if you want to do that, and I know it was in like good humor or whatever, but then like,
yeah,
when these things happen, then you kind of gotta swallow the pill and be like, hey, it's on me.
right.
Whatever. So, let's see what else do we have here. Oh yeah. Jeff says the left tackle didn't do well in the game.
Yeah. That was right around when I said the right tackle was an issue for Arkansas. But yeah, Carmona, this might have been his worst game of the year.
It was a tough one on him. And again, credit to Ole Miss because that defensive front is nasty. That whole front seven is nasty.
Yeah.
But boy, Arkansas didn't offer up much resistance anywhere. Tackle, guard, center, picking guys up, with the running backs, whatever. It just didn't really happen.
Mm-hmm.
Nobu, this is
shout out to our boy.
Yeah. By the
Shout out to
way,
Army.
well, yeah. Says Singleton will be a Heisman candidate next year for Georgia Tech.
Oh, that's a great comment. That's a great comment.
It is a fantastic comment because honestly, when I read Georgia Tech, I was like, damn, he would be really good there. Just thinking about, and I know they don't do the triple option stuff anymore, but just that system. They got Haynes King there now who runs and throws a little bit. And the way Singleton was kind of running around out there today, I was like, man, there you go.
Yeah.
Just a few more. We'll start wrapping it up here in a few minutes, folks. We appreciate y'all again. Sharkensaw says he appreciates us. He says a tough last 24 hours for YouTube, but the show goes on. We're a basketball school anyway. It was a long 24 hours. Like the adrenaline of yesterday, getting up early, driving down, getting to Fort Worth, doing the show, going to the game, doing the post game, doing the report card. It didn't catch up to us until I think we were about, what would you say, like an hour into the drive back this morning when it was like, ooh.
Oh my goodness, dude. We were going through all those like Atoka and Eufaula and all that. Like those
nowhere
Oklahoma is the worst state to drive through on this planet. And shout out to Bet Saracen, by the way, where you have to be in the state of Arkansas to bet on Bet Saracen. Yes. Did not realize until today, and I've made that drive a few times, you don't cross the state of Arkansas until you're like in freaking Fort Smith, like literally. And even when you were in Fort Smith, they really wasn't letting you place those bets for a while. We were sprinting towards that state line so we could get some bets in before 11 o'clock. It was good stuff. But no, yeah, this fall back tonight, this extra hour of sleep is about to hit like crack.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Cannot wait for that. Witty appreciates says Curtis 3% Wilkerson. I've thrown that 3% out there a couple times. I'm actually unbothered by the fee there that they're tacking on, and I understand why they're doing it. But again, this is going to be a topic of conversation, and it's just especially when you take into account we went cheap on the O line and they went expensive on the defensive line, and then you get the hell beat out of you in that particular area of the game. It's like, well, hope the beer sales were up in Razorback Stadium. That way you can make a little extra coin there. So Timothy Long again.
Oh wait, I didn't mean to do that. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. He says, missed you guys. Work been killing me. Love y'all. Keep doing the amazing job y'all do. Still can't wait to meet you on Dixon sometime. I can't
wait to meet you either, Timothy, man. I can't wait to kick it with you. And we appreciate you, man. You're the man. We appreciate your support, and hope work isn't dragging you too bad as we near the holidays. And
that's right.
We look forward to hearing from you soon.
Yep. Okay. Did you have one pulled up?
Yeah, I did. I just wanted to real quick.
Okay.
Because Clint says, Curtis, Andrew, I have one question. During your time at practices and games, does Pittman command respect and discipline? So this is a little bit of a like kind of like vague question. And it's like, what does it mean to command respect and discipline? But I will say this, because we've been at a lot of practices over the years, not anymore because they shut those suckers down.
Yeah.
Pittman is not this happy-go-lucky guy all the time who's just walking around, well, shoot. When you see him at practice, especially, weirdly enough, with the O-line, he's got a fire. He's got an intensity to him. He walks around and has a little bit of a different kind of demeanor about him. Like, we've seen the serious side of Sam Pittman plenty of times, and I know it's in there. I know he's not the most fiery, like, rah-rah, like, getting your ass coach. And he doesn't necessarily need to be most of the time, but that's what's so frustrating about his nonchalantness at the press conferences, because it's like, I feel like it's almost like he's trying to be the other way just to not seem like an idiot. But it's like, again, we would like to see a little bit of that fire because I know it's in there. I know he keeps track of all the negative receipts. I know he really has a fire in him that he wants to prove everyone wrong. He wants to be the guy that brings Arkansas back to greatness. He wants to be the guy that shuts all of the weirdos like us up. And I know that that's somewhere in him. I just wish you would frankly show it publicly more, because I think that authenticity and that real side of Pittman is some of why we love him, frankly.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with that completely. I don't have anything to add to that because I thought you absolutely nailed it there. And it's very true. So, man, oh man, just a handful more. We've almost gone an hour. That's usually about how long we go. So, David here, he says, can we not let past players pick our next head coach this time around? I always forget about that, the letters and everything. So who was sending those?
It was like Travis Swanson maybe sent one. Ragnall might have got in on it, but a lot of the O linemen from that era were. I think Swanson was like the one really good one where people were like, "Oh yeah,
yeah." There you go. I think we got through most of the. I know we didn't get through all of them. There's like 700 stats in here, but we got through a good amount of them. I can't imagine there's anything blatantly obvious that needed to be discussed that we didn't discuss. So.
Yeah, I want to commend our boy SCT, who is partaking in Triple N.
Yeah,
shout out to him. We wish you well on your journey, my guy. And I'm sorry that the Hogs have put you in this position.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough. Find other things to do with your time. Some breathing exercises. Take up drinking. I don't know. You'll be okay. So, all right. I think we're out of here. We still have more to. I mean, we got more to record, whether it's today or tomorrow. We got
the
more
work doesn't stop.
That's right. Yeah, the grind doesn't stop around here. But again, thank you guys so much for rocking with us. A shout out to our sponsors for sure. Everybody, man, Alumni Hall, Rhoback, the Leroy Lounge, and then you guys are kind of sponsors for us as well. So thanks to you. Make sure you're subscribed if you haven't done so already. Inside Arkansas, throw us a like. That really helps us a lot. We want to keep expanding our reach as much as we can. We like our family and our community here. We want it to grow. So help us out with that. Appreciate you guys. Check out the website, insidearkansas.com. Podcasts everywhere you could possibly think of, Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen. Some people do it on like Audible, which is the book download thing. Whatever. That's okay too. Pot of That Nature for football. Pot of That Palace is heating up for basketball. We're starting to put more into that podcast feed for people who need to listen and can't necessarily watch. And Inside Arkansas Live. So we're going to get out of here. For Andrew Ellis and Curtis Wilkerson with Pot of That Nature and Inside Arkansas. But don't worry, we'll be back with some more content for you very, very soon. Everybody have a good one.